Welcome everybody to this week's KSN Podcast. We took a week off last week, but we are back. I am your host, Christian Simmons. This is Bailey Adams and Zack. Bailey's sitting on the inside for this podcast because the last podcast, Zack and I yelled at each other a little bit, and now we just want Bailey to get the full effect of that going back and forth.
Good to hear it in both ears.
So it's going to be great. So, the last time we were on a podcast, UCF was coming off the Maryland win.
Yeah.
And I think everyone has some apologies to make.
First
off,
I'll start.
Well, hold up.
Start.
I just want to make sure that we're all clear that on the last podcast, when asked how good UCF was, you referred to them as mediocre.
I did that because you would not let me say I can't call them good. You made me give them a title.
And so the title you came up with was mediocre.
Yeah. That's all I could give them because I couldn't call them good. They definitely weren't bad, but they weren't good. I didn't really.
They were average.
I mean,
let me ask you a question. Are they good now?
Yeah.
That's how we can start this.
So UCF is 4-0 for the first time since 1988. This is very quickly turning into what's probably going to go down as their best season ever. So
after 4 games, yeah, let's say it.
I called them undefeated after.
You did call them undefeated, and I still gave them 9-2. So it's not like I said they were bad.
I said 10-1.
Did you say?
No, you said
10-1.
You said 10-1.
I said 9-2.
So I was the only one. Whoever's on my side now, so we'll see. I like how I'm proclaiming victory with 7 games to go. But anyway, so the other thing, I also need to make amends because in the first podcast,
I think me too.
I don't think we ever got a full apology from Zack.
Yeah, I think you do need to apologize.
You're right.
You said mediocre.
I apologize. I apologize for calling them mediocre, though I was forced into it by them because they would not let me say.
Them? Oh,
You would not let me say I can't call them good. You made me give them a title.
Bailey didn't even speak on the last podcast.
You did it then. I'm sorry. Other guy. Christian, you made me do it. I didn't.
I made you say mediocre.
Because you
an apology into Christian, you made me do
This is literally exactly what I was talking about for the podcast. I said, "Are you going to apologize?" You said, "Yes." We on the podcast. You're like, "Christian made me do it."
Because you wouldn't let me say that they are. I couldn't call them good. That's what I said. I kept saying I couldn't call them good, and then
I said, "So what would you call them?" And you said mediocre.
Because you made me call them something.
You shouldn't want to call names.
I'm just going to apologize. Okay, so I also may have possibly on the first podcast mentioned that Milton was going to be benched by this point this season.
Me too.
And he's now playing like a top 20 quarterback in the nation. So I'm going to go ahead and apologize for that.
Yeah.
Milton has looked beyond fantastic, especially in the Cincinnati game.
I'd just like to say that I was right.
You
guys slept. You guys slept strong.
But did you say it on tape?
I haven't.
He texted me before the FIU game, I remember, because I was joking about how Vedral was going to end up as the starter, and I texted Bailey, "What's your prediction for Milton?" And he was like, 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. I was like, okay, haha. And then he had that in the first half. Yeah. At that point, I probably should have known. At that point, I probably should have been like, okay, Milton's here to stay.
Quinn Heisman.
A bit.
No.
That was a joke. All right.
Okay.
Take a step.
Yeah, I apologize for that too because I was a full-fledged against Milton. And now I'm completely on board with Milton. I'm on the Milton train. Okay, he's good. The thing we forgot too, and the thing that I forgot was that he's a sophomore.
Yep. And I think that was the big thing was we saw. I mean, he's improved
because also he's improved, but also in this era when we saw Jameis win a Heisman as a freshman, Jymans won a Heisman as a freshman. I'm like, freshman, especially coming off an 0-12 season, couldn't expect a freshman quarterback, a true freshman.
They're implementing a new system.
Exactly. I feel looking back now, some of his throws still aren't the greatest. But he's miles ahead of where it was. But
the thing was, you remember at the end of last season, the consensus was, okay, well, Milton just can't throw the ball downfield.
That's all he's doing.
And now he's that perfectly timed pass.
I mean, that play with the throw to Traquan, was it Traquan's 3rd receiving touchdown?
Yeah.
On the game where he hit him in stride in the end zone?
Traquan did not have to slow down.
Did not slow down at all.
He just ran his route on the ball.
Which the thing is, though, he's improved since game 1. Because in the first game against FIU, he underthrew Snelson twice.
It was interesting. I can't remember. I'm not going to say who it was because I was at the press conference this Monday, and I can't remember what player said it, but one player said that they think that he's gotten a lot better because he's becoming a team leader, and with his confidence, he just realized, okay, I can do this.
And honestly, that's probably true because in that first game against, or not the first game, but against the game like Maryland, point to the one on live, he did not play well. And it's like when you make a play like he did where you throw the ball backwards on, I don't know what down it was, but it lost him the game in overtime. It's that really hurts, especially a freshman, that really kills your confidence, especially knowing.
Especially at that point, he wasn't really set in as the starter either at that point.
And then coming into this season too, even though he knew he was the incumbent starter for next season, hearing the crowd chant, "We want Holman" in the bowl game.
And not even, Frost had an open, QB position was open.
Yeah. Exactly. And now that he's playing well, confidence probably has a lot to do with it.
I think so. I think Frost, I think confidence. And I mean, and the thing is, I mean, UCF, their Achilles heel last year's offense, now they're the number one offense in the nation.
Oh, yeah, I mean, 48 points a game?
47.5 points per game.
Jeez.
Through 4 games.
I mean...
Including... And
I can't, I mean, is that average going to drop after this weekend?
I can't imagine. Okay, so Dedrick Snelson, at practice this week, that he was told that Memphis is ECU is allowing 50 points per game, and his response was 50 points per game. And the reporter said, yeah. And he said, we're scoring 70. That was his response.
So, scoring average just goes up or down this weekend?
If they score 70, I'd say mathematically.
What do you think, though? What do you think?
Basically, you're asking me, are they going to score more than...
Are they going to score? Yeah.
I think so.
They're going to score more than 40. Well, you said 47.5. I think
ECU is
they're going to.
one of the
I
worst
think they
teams
could get
in college football at this point.
Over 30 points in the first half.
You do.
Yeah.
But then the question is, do they just...
I don't want them to. I want to see them score 80. I don't want to see...
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, their record, I think, is 70.
Why not go for it?
Why
homecoming?
Well, we all assumed Austin Peay was going to be them going for it, but
I mean, they could have done it in.
Here's the thing, and this is something you'd be excited about. They can take Milton out and still go for it. They just got to let Vedral throw the ball.
And they won't do that, but I hope they do, because especially in this game against ECU, who, I mean, ECU's offense is pretty decent, right?
Yeah, they have a good quarterback.
So, but their defense is obviously...
They put up 31 on USF.
I mean, they gave up 61 to USF at the same time, so...
Yeah. Oh, but USF is amazing, so, yeah.
Correct. They're ranked higher than UCF. They're ranked higher than UCF, so...
For now, we'll see.
But, it's... Yeah, I forget what I was saying.
You were talking about... I was talking about Vedral getting through.
Right. Will they let Vedral throw against a defense? Because, I mean, they've been trying to feed him the playbook slowly, but it's like, will they let him throw?
We're at the point where UCF is 22nd in the nation. They got hopped by, 2 unranked teams?
They got by Michigan State and who?
Michigan State hopped in even with a loss.
Maybe it was just Michigan State.
I think it was.
But either way, I honestly wonder if maybe not even consciously, but in the back of their heads, they're like, let's just make a statement.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Why not? I mean, I get sportsmanship's cool and everything. It's really not. I don't like sportsmanship, but why not just run up the score? Because you have to. Because you're a group of 5 team. You're trying to compete for a spot with other teams that are ahead of you. You're trying to show that you can play Power 5 teams. Why not just run up the score?
They take style points into consideration.
That's what I'm saying. Because I mean, a 40 to 10 win looks a lot. I'm not gonna say worse, but not as good as a 70 to 10 win. It's like, why not just?
I'd say if you can pick the scoreline 40 to 10 or like 70 to 30, you still pick 70 to 30.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
At the end of the season, because everybody's talking about New Year's 6 bowl games, everything. The end of the season, when UCF's if UCF's still in consideration, they're gonna have a resume put up against San Diego State. They play. I would like to say, I mean, the Americans are a better conference, but when they compare resumes, they're gonna compare style points. They're gonna compare how many games
because also
did UCF blow out their opponents.
San Diego State took down 2?
Stanford, who's got a Heisman candidate right now, and Bryce Love, and then they played Arizona.
I want to say, yeah.
And Arizona's played okay. I mean, their quarterback had like 350 rushing yards last week.
But that's why I go back to what he's saying. It's
so I mean,
because the thing is, looking at San Diego State's schedule, they're probably just as likely to go undefeated as UCF.
But they've been struggling though against
Northern
Iowa.
The thing. Well, that's why when the actual playoff rankings come out, it'll be interesting because that's not based on. Because the problem is UCF's kind of victim to the fact that they weren't ranked at the start of the season and they got in a couple weeks later. So even though I don't think there's any argument, they are clearly, as far as talents and performance, the best group of 5 teams. There's seriously no argument.
And they also lost that game against Georgia Tech, which is really going to come back to hurt them, I think.
Because the thing is, I think at this point we can safely say that would have been a win for UCF at least.
I mean, it would have been at least close, if not a win.
You think Georgia Tech would have beat this UCF team?
I haven't watched Georgia Tech play. So
that's neither. Honestly, it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
But I mean, it does hurt them because it's just another. I mean, the Maryland would help them more than anything because that.
Yeah, I mean. Other than Ohio State, they have the largest margin against Maryland.
Which and Ohio State only did 20 points better than UCF did.
Yeah, that's 20 touchdowns.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm not trying to say UCF is in Ohio State's run. That's a pretty.
I want to go back to what you said, Christian, about UCF kind of falling victim to not being ranked at the beginning of the season. I think we're seeing USF
benefit from that.
Yeah, we're seeing them benefit from that because they're winning. They're not really winning that impressively, but they're moving up.
They have not had an impressive win this season.
As teams fall and teams lose. They're moving up. They're 15th in the coaches poll. 15th.
Which look, I'm sorry, but I just have to say that's honestly ridiculous. If you watched a single one of their games, to say they're the 15th best team in the nation, it's honestly ridiculous. It's just because they're ranked. I mean, because if you take the name off it, you just put UCF schedule and scores up against USF's right now. Who are you going to pick as a better team?
Absolutely.
It's not even close. UCF,
of course.
It's not even close.
UCF's played real teams. I mean, their average margin of victory is 28 points. UCF?
I think their closest game was 27 against Memphis.
Yeah, they've never.
That
that's
was
an unprecedented
last
level.
second
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it would have been 20 against Maryland.
Well, what's funny is all last season, especially towards the end when things started really sort of going against them, the whole thing everyone kept saying was, "Wow, it's just a shame because this defense is so good. If only they had a good offense." And now we're seeing this year they have both, and they're honestly just unstoppable at this point. I mean,
I think it got to a point where they beat Memphis so bad that people were wondering, is Memphis even that good?
And then Memphis scored 70 points.
Memphis turned around and scored 70. Riley Ferguson throws for 7 touchdowns.
In 3 quarters.
Can I ask, was UCLA Memphis's game before UCF, or did they play someone in the middle?
Wait, what? Was it the week before? They played. It was a small school, and Memphis struggled with them, but I mean.
It was like Southern Illinois or something.
It was something from up there, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it Towson?
No, that was Maryland.
That was Maryland.
I think it was Southern Illinois, and they won by like a touchdown or 2. It was like
I think it was closer.
It was like 41-31 or something.
Yeah, they gave up a lot of points, and it was.
Either way, when you look at their points scored per game, it's like this.
Yeah,
it's like it's crazy.
And if
especially given that
for that last play,
they
would have scored 7 points.
7 points.
Single digits.
But that's kind of what it goes back to when you're talking about things that you want to have, like, as you know, like things on your resume like that. It kind of sucks that they scored that, because from their perspective, it has to suck because you have to realize that it would have just looked that much better to voters and to everybody if it was just 7.
Yeah.
But even though it was a garbage time touchdown that literally meant nothing, it was as time expired.
I mean, yeah, but I mean that game might not even be the biggest game. I mean, if Memphis if Navy beats Memphis this weekend,
yeah,
that's a big one.
And UCF beats ECU,
that's going to be their biggest game.
They could go into that game undefeated, both of them, as a ranked American matchup.
Also, what's really interesting is
what?
Has there been one of those?
Has there been a ranked?
I can't think of one. No,
because the only team that's been ranked past couple years is USF, Houston.
I don't even know if they've ever had 3 ranked at one point.
Navy was ranked last year. Houston,
is it
Navy or USF for the last year? Because I know Navy finished ranked. I
thought Houston had fallen out when Navy got ranked.
Well, they might have. I'm just saying
but I'm saying how many at one point in time have 3 been ranked?
How many teams does the SEC have ranked? I just want to make this point.
The SEC? What? Bama, Auburn, Georgia. Is that it?
That's it.
Yeah, they have 3. They have as many as the Americans.
That's it. Yeah, I think it's.
Now, granted, it is like 1, 5, and 11, but still.
Yeah, no, but still. Well, the other thing we've gone back to is let's not get on an ACC tangent because we'll be here all day, or SEC tangent because we'll be here all day. But if you take Alabama in that conference, it's just, I mean,
Georgia looks good this year.
Georgia
looks very good.
But every conference can.
But I mean, the SEC.
Georgia's my wish list team for UCF to match up with in New Year's Six.
I saw a projection today. It's a projection, so it means absolutely nothing. But they're saying Peach Bowl versus Auburn for UCF.
That would be big.
I mean,
beating Auburn would be big, like bigger than Baylor.
Way bigger.
Well, you got to remember that Baylor team was also great. But I'm saying,
but the thing is, that was Big 12. And still, any SEC win in the eyes of the media and eyes of the nation is going to look way bigger than a Big 12.
UCF's that Baylor team was bowl win came against the SEC team.
What against
Georgia? That's why I like it. It's the poeticness of it.
That's a word.
It is now.
All right.
I mean, journalism, everybody. Poeticness.
Just make up words.
That might be the quote for this podcast. Poeticness. But look, all I'm saying is that I don't really. Or actually, no. Let's go because you were talking about we got derailed by the SEC, but you're talking about Navy. That is going to be their big game now.
Who said that?
You did.
A couple weeks ago.
Oh my.
You also projected them to lose to Navy. So
I did. Did I project them to lose? I said they could. I didn't say it was.
No, I think when you made your prediction of 9-2,
and you said the loss was Navy and someone else. I think was what you said.
They're gonna cheer for Navy.
I still don't. Oh my god. I still don't.
Okay, well, I may have went a little bit overboard with the Navy thing, but I was right. I was right. I was right in the end, though. That Navy could end up being the toughest game.
I'm gonna give you that because I didn't buy into that. I didn't buy into that at all.
But the same thing. I mean, Navy has not really played. The same thing. Navy barely beat Air Force.
Yeah.
This weekend.
They have 1 win, don't they? Air Force has 1 win.
Tulsa went the distance with them.
And Tulsa's defense.
Tulsa went the distance with them?
Mm-hmm. They pulled it in the last quarter.
Well, yeah, it was the last quarter, right? It ended up being like 35-14. But
Tulsa hung with them for 3.
Tulsa was up 14-0 at one point.
Yeah.
And Tulsa's defense, I'm pretty sure, is the
That's why I'm just at any point. I mean, any UCF loss this season would be shocking. I mean, there's no game where it's like, oh, that's gonna be tough. Like it's like.
Well, I mean, aside from UCF, do the other 2 American teams really deserve to be ranked? Then, I mean, if you look at their,
I still stand by if you're in. Look, USF. I don't think they should be ranked 15th, but at the end of the day, they are 6-0.
I think they should be ranked.
They are 6. I mean,
that's halfway.
6-0 or 5-0.
I thought maybe they're 5.
They're
5.
Yeah,
but either way, you're almost halfway through your season and you haven't lost a game, and you're in the American. Yeah,
and it's the same with Navy. Navy's F5, I think, right now.
Yeah. So I think at that point, it's like, just because so many other teams lost, I'm not going to say...
I guess because you're undefeated, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I'm not... I still stand by it. And again, it's the bias of we watch UCF. We've seen their games, so obviously we value them more than someone who has never watched a game.
I mean, but even if you look at the UCF highlights, they look like a good team. They look like a team that belongs in the top 25.
That was the...
You gonna live?
We'll find out. Maybe not. That was the point I was going to get to, is if you go on YouTube and watch the American highlights of all the games, UCF just looks spectacular. I mean, they are such a good highlight team this year from the way they played.
It's just...
because they just look athletic. They look more Power 5 than the rest of the team. It's just the way they...
Because you and me, we watched... sorry, for 1 second. You can get back to it. I just wanted to say real quick, because you and me, we watched Navy's highlights for a couple of their games. They watched SMU and Tulsa, and it was just like... And there were plays we're watching, we're like, oh, UCF wouldn't let that happen.
Well, this thing is, like, a lot of their plays, they run that triple option, and it's like a missed tackle in the backfield.
Exactly, and it's just
like
things that doesn't happen.
Or a guy doesn't, he doesn't stay home, or it's just like things that UCF would do. Because one thing UCF has done really, really well is they play it like they stay home. They stay on their responsibilities.
Yeah. And so much of Navy, it seems like their offense is sort of based on the idea that the other team is going to screw up.
Yeah, they miss tackles in the backfield, they cover the wrong thing, or they just simply sell the run, and they have one guy run free, and the guy just lobs it over the top.
Exactly.
And UCF won't happen. That will not happen to them.
So,
this isn't the point I was going to make, but I want to go to this point now. Cincinnati did put up, 23 points?
Yeah.
And
that's worth.
it wasn't necessarily like what we saw from Cincinnati isn't what we're going to see from Navy. I think Cincinnati has more. It was more of an aerial attack. I don't think, because Navy throws the ball maybe 8 or 9 times a game.
Not even, I don't think. I mean,
at the most.
We watched 2 games, and I think there was a single highlight where they threw the ball.
Yeah, it was one where everyone came to the line and they just threw the tight over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to call it worrisome that Cincy scored 23 points just because...
There was one drive that you could absolutely describe as worrisome.
You said the same thing about the Memphis game, though. The opening drive for Memphis was worrisome.
And I think, was it Cincinnati's opening drive, too? No, it might have been their second drive.
Yeah.
There was a few where UCF just had them in third and whatever, like third and 5, and they would just let the quarterback out of the pocket, and then they'd have a big play, next play for 20 yards, and it just kept compounding, and then they would score. And it was... I don't want to call it worrisome just because they destroyed them.
Yeah.
But...
It showed that they're not invincible.
Always 23 is also not. It's not horrible.
Yeah,
you can't expect them the whole team's did 13, 16 points every game. You just can't. It's just not reasonable.
I think part of it is because there was actually a lot of fans talking about, oh wow, they scored 23 points. I think that shows kind of almost how spoiled everyone's gotten watching UCF through 4 games now. Is like that a team scores 23 points, UCF scores 53 points, and people see that as worrisome. It is.
But also, it could have been. You can maybe attribute to the fact it might have been. I don't want to say a letdown, but coming off that big win against Memphis.
One thing you can say watching Memphis is every player gave it their all.
And that's what I was trying to make a point a couple podcasts ago when I said there might be some game where it's just like a letdown where they're going to play down their competition, where it's like you beat Memphis. The next game, they're going to think, oh, we're going to destroy these guys, and then they don't try as hard. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what happened is they came out and they're like, oh, well, they're not going to beat us, and then they would beat them a few times, and then they get it together once they realized that they couldn't.
And that kind of happened because there was that one Cincinnati drive where they threw the ball downfield, they got some good passes, they worked their way down the field, and that was pretty much it. I mean, after that, Cincinnati did not put much together throughout the rest of that game. They had a couple good plays, but there was no drive like that where they were able to just march down.
Yeah, and so I just think they need coming prepared every week, just because they just can't expect to show up and win.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
I'm sorry, Milton.
I'm also sorry, Milton.
UCF's I believe you. I believe in you the whole time. He did believe in you. I'm sorry, Milton. UCF's a good team.
I'm also sorry to Noah Vedral, who just lost his chance to start anytime soon.
Yeah, everyone slept, and everyone's awake now.
Milton Heisman.
So long.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.